we lived in a house where there was no running water. We had to go to standpipes to go and fetch water, and would wake up very early in the morning to go and do that, and would stay up late to wait for the bread to rise, as we say, and put it in the oven, the mud oven, at 2 a.m. to bake, because we would have to have it ready in the morning. So now, if I have to do something for a client and it's urgent and I have to stay up to do it, it's no big deal. I grew up like that.
Hello there. A wise man once told me that if the world did not communicate, it would cease to exist. Well, it tells us about the essence and the power of communication. And right here in Ghana, one woman who started a small company 30 plus years ago has risen through the ranks to a point where today we call her the strategic communications woman. Esther Cobbah doesn't need much of an introduction, but I mean, we all can learn a thing or two from a sit down with her. She's our guest here on the Lowdown on Ghanaweb TV. My name is Etsey Atisu. Hello, Auntie Esther.
Hi, Etsey.
How are you doing today?
Really good.
And it's really an honor to be sitting across you here.
I am just delighted to be here and honored to be sitting on this channel that has grown from grace to grace to grace.
Yes.
Keep working hard. You're doing well.
Thank you. Ghanaweb is 25, but you are 30 plus years.
Before you were, we were.
Oh, yes. When did you start this? I have been thinking about this 30 plus years. How's the journey been like?
The journey has been exciting. I'm somebody that enjoys challenges.
Okay.
And also, I'm a people person. I like to work with people. I like to serve people. And I like, in my own little way, to use the talents that God has given me to glorify Him and to benefit my neighbor. And so, doing this for me has been in terms of fulfilling all these. And so, it's been exciting.
I mentioned in my intro that, of course, you need little introduction, but maybe today you tell me something that I've not heard or read about anywhere before. Who is Esther Ambah Numaba Cobbah? I hope I got the name right.
Yes.
Okay.
Esther Ambah Numaba Cobbah.
Lovely. That sounds like music.
Yeah. If you did literature, you'll know that
I did literature.
Is alliteration.
Yes, it is.
Anybody who wants to understand the world and live in it meaningfully reads literature.
I did.
Great.
Wonderful.
What is science without literature?
Definitely. Well, so who is Esther Cobbah?
Ghanaweb asking me who's Esther Cobbah. I thought Ghanaweb knew everything about everybody.
Well, for this moment, we'll pretend we don't.
Please. Well, Esther Cobbah is a basic Ghanaian girl born in Sekindi, lived part of my life in Sekindi, Salt Pond. My father was a postmaster, so we lived in different parts of Ghana. In the northern part, Boko, Yendi, Navrongo, Tamale, and then we came back to Sekindi, went through Boundary Road School, Ekwase Methodist, then back to my hometown, Komenda, where I attended Komenda Local Authority Primary School, LA, what you guys call Saito.
Saito, yes.
I am a pure Saito graduate and very proud of it.
Oh, nice.
And I wish that all Saitos would, have so much pride in themselves. So from there, I went to Mofretro, and then through Mofretro to Wesley Girls High School, where I was for 7 years, became senior prefect, went through to Legon, did my BA, went to Presec and faced the boys, taught at Presec for my national service, and then came back to Legon to do a graduate diploma in communications. From there, did a 6-month internship stint with the U.S. Information Service, then went on to work with GIHOC, Ghana Industrial Holding Corporation, and then went on to Cornell University to study communication for developing nations, and came right back and did 13 years with Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, where I set up the Public Affairs Department, and Shell and Chevron selected me to be the first Public Affairs Manager for the West African Gas Pipeline Project, where I set up the the External Affairs Department, working with staff from the four participating countries, Ghana, Togo, Benin, Nigeria. Not to, you know, what is one of the things that is significant, that the woman who gave birth to me and was very dear to my heart and was just teaching me everything that I knew, died when I was 11 years old. She sent me to Mofretro on 18th September, and she died on 22nd September.
Just a few days after.
Yeah, but I think she had equipped me. And
even at 11?
Yes. We did everything with her. I say that I had a front row seat in her School of Entrepreneurship. I've been able to do this because of her. I mean, she was a multitasking woman, but focused. And we did everything from baking bread, making kinky, selling in the market, making toffees, biscuits, knitting, crocheting, sewing. Now I'm thinking, how did she do all that? And she involved us in everything that she did. I mean, we lived in a house where there was no running water. We had to go to standpipes to go and fetch water. And would wake up very early in the morning to go and do that. And would stay up late to wait for the bread to rise, as we say, and put it in the oven, the mud oven, at 2 a.m. to bake, because we would have to have it ready in the morning. So now, if I have to do something for a client and it's urgent, and I have to stay up to do it, it's no big deal. I grew up like that. If I have to wake up very early because a client requires something, it's been part of me. So that's how I grew up. And at the center of it all was my God. So she was very practical, but she also taught us to rely on God in everything that we did. That's how I guess I was able to carry on with my 4 other siblings after she died. So this is me. I love people. I love to serve. As I said, I believe that God has given us our talents to glorify Him, but also to serve our neighbor. So the work that I do, when I go to the bottom of it, is service to my neighbor and glory to my God. So if I'm able to go into a community, to go and work with them through communication, to learn about malaria prevention, I feel that my talent is benefiting my neighbor and glorifying my God. So there's that for me. So this is me. I like to work, but I like to have fun as well.
That's a quick run through your entire life. And you mentioned your mother. You also mentioned your father. In the background, he has been a postmaster.
Yes.
And all of that. Did all of these things influence your decision to go on the path of communications?
Absolutely. What it is we lived in Sekondi. That was our base, but we moved around. And each time we were traveling from Sekondi to Komenda, for instance, I'd see all these rural communities. And I'd wonder what could be done for them to live a different life. And being a postmaster's daughter meant that when we were traveling, sometimes we traveled in the back of a mail van. I'm sure that a lot of people haven't seen mail vans before. A mail van is a van with a huge back space where the mail bags were put. And there was a post office in every community. So we would stop and the mail van driver would deposit the letters, which meant I saw a lot of communities. And sometimes I saw the deprivation, not that we had much, but people lived in mud huts and all that. And I always felt, what would it take to work with them to have what would be a more comfortable life? At least in Secondary, we had standpipes to go to, but some of these didn't. And in Commander, I carried my water from the well. I carried it from a water body that we call poo-poo. And I mean, I lived the life in Commander. And I always felt, if I'm able to advance in my education, I'd like to learn something that enables me to bring knowledge back to where I have come from. And I'm also somebody that really likes to promote understanding and justice. So at first I thought about law. It didn't sit well with me. Then I thought about sociology and didn't get into that. So when literature helped me a lot to learn about human nature. And I tell scientists, until you have a good understanding and appreciation of human nature, your scientific interventions or innovations may have challenges.
And that's literature.
That's literature. And then I studied religions. And you know, Africans are extremely religious. So if you understand what drives somebody to do something, even when you have an innovation, you will understand why the innovation is there, but the person is not using it. So a lot of us try to inflict, develop innovations, inventions on people. And when they don't use them, we say that they are illiterate. And I tell them, you are illiterate about their illiteracy.
Not understanding.
No. You are more illiterate than them. Before you can make somebody literate, you have to be literate about their illiteracy. And that is what, and I think that is fair. Everybody has a right to be. So if we are trying to work with people to change the way they do things, it has to be done empathetically. You need to step into the other person's shoes. It has to be rights-based. And that is where I got it from, because I lived the life in Commander. So just going to tell somebody, drink pipe-borne water, you know, if the water body has been considered a goddess that has been pumping water out all these years, for centuries, watering and quenching the thirst of the people in the community, then you come one day with a standpipe and say, come and drink from it.
Change everything that they've known.
Change everything. Until you have understood why they will journey to that well every day, you can't change them. So those are some of the things that drive me. And of course, when you read the Bible, you will see that God and his son Jesus Christ are great communicators. Look at Adam and Eve getting into trouble. He's told them how we should live this life in the Garden of Eden. He comes, they've messed up. He doesn't condemn them immediately. He asks them, what is this thing that you have done? He transitions into the reality of their existence and then works with them. He joins them to shift. And that is what real communication is about. And that is what I believe in. So these are and I saw my mother living it. She was a very loving person. And so these have helped me to evolve my love for communication. This is what communication is. Communication is not the transfer of information. It is the sharing of information for mutual understanding. A lot of us inflict what we want on others, until you've understood the other person, you can never communicate with them. So these informed my wanting to do communication. But then I went further to do communication for developing nations, so that when we are communicating in a country like Ghana or any other African country or a developing nation, we are able to situate it in a manner that resonates with them. This is how come some years ago, a multinational company came to Ghana. We did work in a rural community for them, a corporate, a big corporate. They were so impressed that they asked us to do the same work for low literate populations in all their projects worldwide, because we did it in an empathetic manner. Communication is sweet, especially when you do it not only from your standpoint, but from the standpoint of the other. These are the factors that have enabled me to, to do this work. God sent Jesus Christ to come and be in the lives of the people. And you see, Jesus never even healed anybody by just saying, go and get healed. He will do it on the basis of your belief. So the fact that there's a live and let live in communication is one of the reasons why I guess I have loved this profession so much.
And it's all of these look strategic.
Yes.
You've been strategic from what you've learned from your parents, from your own experiences traveling around with your parents and all of that. And I believe that's what's informed this company that you've been a general over for the past 30 years. I know those experiences are there, but are there other things like books or people outside your immediate family where you've learned any of these nuggets from? Maybe you'd want to share with us.
Yeah, my main book, I don't let me sound preachy, but people read 7-something of leadership from this book. Look, the Bible is a lifestyle book.
So that's your manual?
It's my manual because, I just didn't happen. Even a microwave oven was thought through by somebody and manufactured, and it comes with a manual. And this manual, it's big, 66 books, it's a lot. But the person who created me, knowing that there's so many things around that will distract me, synthesizes the 66 books into 10 commandments and further synthesizes it to love the Lord your God, love the person who gave you this life, and love everybody around you. And what I like is that he doesn't tell me who to love around me, everybody. And he equips me for that. So that is one of the things that has influenced me. Then the schools that I went to, Mofratro in Kumasi.
Okay.
Wow. There I honed my love for gardens. My mother we used to plant most of what we ate.
Okay.
But in Mofratro, every house had a garden. And we took care of the garden like nobody's business. It was a competition. Every morning we would tend the garden, stand beside it, and wait for inspection. It was nice. So my gardening skills and love for gardening grew at Mofratro, and Mofratro means children's garden.
Yes.
Then, of course, Wesley Girls High School. For Mofratro, I remember Mrs. Wilberforce, who was my headmistress. Oh, I thought she was strict, but...
When you got to Wesley Girls?
No, I thought she was strict, but now I look back and I'm grateful to her. Because no one is watching me, but I do what needs to be done for my own sake. And then Miss Bonsoanane, she was just a mother to all of us. So they influenced me. And then I get to Wesley Girls. Miss Garnett, our headmistress. What amazed me about her and has stayed with me, we would get there as new intakes. And this woman, somehow, I don't know whether she looked at our pictures from common entrance or what, she would welcome you by name.
Every one of you?
Yes.
And how many people were entering school at that time?
At that time, it was 30, about 32, 30, about 96.
So that's still a lot.
Yes. She took, and that taught me that, look, everybody is important. And in my work life, what I have found is that people are not machines. They're human beings before coming to work.
Yeah.
So if you take an interest in who they are and what they do, you also become interesting, and they'll be interested in what they, because sometimes somebody is not delivering, not because they don't know the work, but maybe they're going through something. Then secondly, Miss Garnett, she was very simple, down to earth, and I don't know how she did it. I mean, I learned how to use what was available to me at any time to get the best out of what I wanted. And this was building on what my grandmother taught me, what my mother also taught me. So all these people have influenced me. The other person is Mother Teresa, that little woman. I believe that you become relevant when you serve. Relevance comes from service. You say I need no introduction. I want to hope that it is because one way or the other I have served society. So if people want to be remembered, my belief is serve. Mother Teresa, she was very tiny, petite, but she served. And I believe when she got into rooms, even kings got up for her. So to be served requires that you serve.
Let me just allow you catch your breath for a bit. Okay. When we return, I want to ask her how she managed to get to the point where today we refer to her as the face of strategic communication. This is the lowdown on Ghanaweb TV. Don't go nowhere. Welcome back. It's still the lowdown here on Ghanaweb TV. My name is Etsey Atisu. I'm with Esther Cobbah. Stratcomm. That's a name.
Stratcomm Africa.
Stratcomm Africa. Now that's a short form of Strategic Communications Africa.
Yes.
We didn't talk about Stratcomm in the first part of this interview, but where did you know you wanted to start this? How did this idea come about?
This idea, I guess, was conceived over time and birthed and nurtured to be where it is today. When at some point in my life, I didn't have a job after I finished my master's. And I had 2 little boys. So I was home with them. And I am a firm believer in the devil finds work for idle hands. In fact, I don't idle at all. So what I began to do was to look around for situations and issues that could be addressed using communication as a tool, or whose management could be facilitated using communication as a tool. So I started writing anything I saw around. Filthy gutters, I would start writing. Young people who are doing I would start writing. So I wrote a lot of proposals and strategies, fresh from school was in my mind. And at a certain point, I knew that I would do something with it. But then I went to work elsewhere and all that. But what really in the end propelled me was when I found young people with no jobs. And I thought, I have all these proposals, these young people are jobless. They could use this if they wanted to. So I brought the two together. And I, at that time, had a whiteboard and I taught them communication. I mean, for me, it was exciting. I think, did I know what I was doing? I was just being me. Okay. So over time, it became like a social enterprise because I, on the one hand, wanted to use communication as a tool for community development and individual livelihood enhancement, but also to help organizations to become more profitable. Because I felt that sometimes they were not communicating enough. And then, for instance, where organizations find themselves in communities, especially extractive industry organizations, and there's conflict and the community ends up not benefiting adequately from the presence of the company is not selling itself well. So I put all those things together. So I set up something that would help do all this. Initially, it was Center for Development and Intercultural Communication, long name, very academic, SEDIC. But over time, I realized that what I was doing was just using strategic thinking, helping organizations, people with their strategic goals, realizing their strategic goals, using communication strategically. And therefore, I decided to change the name from SEDIC to Stratcomm, Strategic Communications Africa Limited. And the SEDIC then became an NGO supported by Stratcomm Africa.
So that's still in existence?
It is.
But not as...
Not as, yeah. At first, when I started Stratcomm, every Wednesday evening, I'd go to Nima and Mamobi to train young people there. I trained them in how to use their skills to communicate. So we wouldn't bring people from outside to come and communicate to them about drug abuse or teenage pregnancy or, anything. We would use people from the environment. I did a lot in parent-child communication. So every Wednesday evening at 4:30, I would leave the office and go there. And I worked with a group called Perfect Stars. We used dance drama, we used poetry, we used art, puppets, and all that. In fact, at the IPR launch of its 50th anniversary, some of them came to perform there. So that's how it started. And I mean, the development needs of Africa, the profitability requirements of organizations cannot be planned and executed in an ad hoc manner. It has to be done strategically, systematically, coherently, and consistently. And that is what I believe in. I'm a very structured mind, but I'm not a pure scientist. I'm a social scientist. And people think that people who do social science can be haphazard. No. Human behavior changes. It takes a very strategic mind to ensure that even in the midst of the changing behaviors, you're realizing a goal. And that is what Stratcomm Africa is able to do. That's what we've been practicing for the past 30 years. And I think responding to human needs in such a strategic, structured, and coherent manner is what has kept us going for these 30 years. We've been pioneering communication. Through that, we've been innovating because things change. And I'm somebody who gets bored easily. I don't do the same thing over and over and over again. So things changed. So even though we were pioneers, at the time we were set up, there was hardly any other total communications company. We didn't rest on our oars. We've been innovating. And through our innovations, we've been impacting lives day after day. Bring it on. Stratcomm Africa will innovate. And that makes us pioneers. And when you pioneer, you impact.
And which you've proven over the last 30 years.
By God's grace.
I want you to help us maybe reflect on some of the biggest highlights of your 30 years. I know there have been a number of them, but which ones readily come to mind when you look back? They could be things that were challenging. We just want to hear some of them.
Okay. I think one of the first things was when a multinational company needed a communications agency.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happened?
And we put everything together. At that time, we're using transparencies. Yeah, some people may not know what transparencies are. These days, we have slides.
Okay.
And the day we were printing the transparencies, the printer conked out on us. So we went with our notes. We won hands down. Yes.
That didn't stop you from
No.
winning?
What should stop you? I mean, human beings are born to manage. So if everything was easy, what would you manage? So we went and we won. And they said they were coming to see our operations. And our operations were in a 40-foot container, which we had turned into an office. Beautiful office with a garden in front. That alone won us some marks. We worked with them for 9 years.
Wow.
And they wouldn't go anywhere because they were happy with us. For me, that's a highlight. And then another highlight is the fact that it was a challenge, but we used this as an opportunity. We started at a time that communication was really relatively young. All these many academic institutions were not there. So when you were looking for talent, it was difficult. At that time, one of our values, our values were we work to the glory of God, we develop people. So we got a lot of people that we trained. For me, a highlight is the fact that today, when you look at Ghana's communication landscape, most of the respected communications professionals have passed through Stratcomm Africa. And I will be able to stand before my God and say, you led me and I followed. I haven't served, I'm serving.
Still serving.
Still serving. I'm not done. Another highlight was when I went through my challenge, of my husband being in prison. So I had to run a company and deal with a husband in prison, some 2 hours drive away. But I guess structure, keeping God at the center, seeing that in itself was God at work. Because as I always say, without a Judas, you don't get your salvation. We worry ourselves getting angry with Judas. It was tough, but it taught me to reorganize myself and work in different ways that made me better at what I do. And so that was a challenge. But the fact that by God's grace, we were able to overcome that phase also and continue. And today we are 30 years.
Yes.
30.
30 strong
30.
years.
It's plenty.
A lot of years.
Try Esther's God.
Yes. Try Esther's God.
Try my God.
You are CEO of a successful company, arguably the best in total communications.
We're still striving towards success.
Yes. And you're combining that with being a president of IPR, and you're a mother. I know now, of course, the motherly duties maybe it transfers to your grandchildren. But how have you been able to combine? This question I ask women, and I expect that, well, you tell me, oh, we've done this, but I hope yours is a little different, because these are big shoes you're filling in. How are you able to do all of that? I don't think a lot of men can do all of that at the same time.
Oh, very few men can know. As I say, we are women.
Okay.
Yeah, woman. Yeah, woman.
Oh, okay.
The yeah, woman. The Fantis man is nation. Yeah, woman. Na yeah, woman. So God equipped us to be able to do it. In fact, when He created you, He saw that you were helpless without us. So He said, I'll give you a helper. And that was us.
That makes women feel a little...
Oh, well, it's God's fault, not our fault. Anyway, how do I do it? By prioritizing every time. And also bringing project management skills that I use at work home. When I say prioritizing, it's not only about time, but resources. What would I use my money for? Would I use my money for technology that will enable me grind my vegetables quickly to be able to do my sauce, or will I use it to buy a dress? Yes, I like clothes, I'll buy the dress, but then to be able to buy the dress, I'll invest in a blender. I'll invest in a microwave oven. I'll invest, so technology is key. And then the people that are around me that support me, I also invest in them, because without them, I cannot do everything that I do. Family, house help and all that. And then when I come to work too, I have to work hard to understand the people that I work with, to be able to be free to sit here and do an interview whilst they're doing the work and I talk about it. So it's different ways of doing things, and just realizing that the context in which you find yourself requires women to live a certain way. And then you don't sit and just complain, and they didn't let me do this, and they did. Women are responsible for brightening, using the opportunities they find around themselves to be better. I said I like gardening, so I started the Ghana Garden and Flower Show 12 years ago, and it speaks to who I am. So I also pick on things that I enjoy, and I do them. So these are some of the ways in which I have worked on, being a woman. And finally, I never really go to work thinking I'm a woman. In fact, this morning I was in a meeting. Apparently, I was there with only men. And one woman came in, and somebody said, oh, now there's another woman. And I said to the men, I didn't realize that you were men. When I go to work, it's work that has to be done. Okay. It's not about being a man or a woman. Of course, there are things that a man can do. In the same way, there are things that a fellow woman can do that I can do. So I just take it that we've been equipped with different skills. And one thing I know is that I respect different skills that people have. I would not be sitting here if I did not have my staff. I would not be sitting here if I did not have somebody who could do the arithmetic on the money. Because left to me, the money, I'd give it away. The work, I love what I do, so I give it away just like that. But respecting the different skills and talents that you meet all help you to do what you do well. One of the things that I bring into the office space as a woman is how, as a woman at home, I manage finances. And I know that you can't go and borrow. You'll be borrowed out. And so one of the things that we've done is to put the money back in. put the money back in. You don't spend the money because you started the company. No. Even if you started it, there are other people working with it. That's why it's called an organization. Otherwise, it will be called, I don't know. So what comes in does not belong to you alone. It belongs to the organization. And how do you manage that? Just as at home, you would manage the family's resources to cater for everybody. In the office, you have to do the same.
I see Dare to Be. This is your book. A celebration of 6 amazing women. Is this the only book you have? And what especially inspired this one? This has very beautiful colors.
I'll talk about this. A lot of people tell me to write a book about myself. That will come eventually, but then I began to pick out all these young people who are doing the things who are walking the path that I have walked. And it has been a challenging path with its joys and all that. And I felt that sometimes women are not celebrated enough. Once again, I thought, what can communication do? So these 6 young ladies, very authentic. They do not pretend. They are just who they are. I met them at different times.
I see they are different people.
They are different
There's
people.
musician Miss V here. There's Kafui in here.
Kafui Danku.
Yes, Kafui Danku. There's also Frida
Yes.
Obeng Ampofo.
Yes.
And you met them at different
times. They didn't even know each other. And I could not sleep until I wrote about them. And there are more of them who are keeping me awake. And I will not sleep until I write about them.
So the plan is to write more of these, to celebrate these women?
I think so. Because they're doing amazing things. And the world needs to know. Including the young ladies in my office. I love them to bits. When I wake up in the morning and I'm coming to work, I look forward to it. Because they work and they bring joy. And, you know, it's not as if we have so much. And it just touches my heart to see them working with a local company like ours and knowing the challenges that we have, but staying committed, innovating. And I say each of them is a pioneer in their own right.
And so we're just running out of time, but I don't want us to leave without you giving out a word to young professionals, people who want to maybe toe the line of communication, especially strategic communication. Just a quick advice, what would you tell them? And especially also as you mark 30 years, let's have those two together. What message do you have for the world?
I would say to young ladies, in fact, young people, be yourself. Don't try to do something because Auntie Esther did it. Your talents are different from mine. And what I see is that sometimes young people get really frustrated because they're trying to be like somebody and it's not working. What I tell people is, when people say, Auntie Esther, I want to be like you, I say, you are better than me. You will be better than me, even better than me. Because you see something in me and you have something in you. You bring the two together and that makes you a better person than I am. So examine yourself. See your own strength and use it. As for our 30 years, there are many 30s coming up because at Stratcomm Africa, we will continue to pioneer. No stopping, no shaking. We will continue to pioneer. And when we pioneer to stay in the lead, we innovate and we impact lives. There are people, there are companies that are always looking at what the other person is doing that we compete with ourselves. And that is what, and I'm glad that I have a team of employees who challenge themselves. And when I come to work, I see that they've come up with several ideas. Look at Ghana Garden and Flower Show. It's evolving. It's evolving because they're bringing in their own energy and their ideas. So watch out for Stratcomm Africa. We aren't stopping. We aren't stopping. And we want to say to the people of Ghana, thank you for believing in us. Thank you for supporting us. Even though people do not respect local companies, thank you for making us globally relevant and locally inspiring.
And I want to thank you also for the beautiful time that we've spent together. I have enjoyed this interview, I must confess. And I didn't compliment your dress, but you look amazing.
Thank you.
So that has been Esther Cobbah. She's the CEO of Strategic Communications Africa, Stratcomm Limited, and Stratcomm Africa. And they are 30 years. And we've had this very enlightening conversation with her. Thank you all too for joining us here on the Lowdown on Ghanaweb TV. You can go to our channel on YouTube, look for Ghanaweb TV, like, subscribe, and click on the notification button. Until another time, my name is Atisu. Be kind to one another.